course, we all start somewhere when it comes to the topic of expiry from this realm. And I can tell you guys that I can remember pretty confidently everything that I asked mom. And the reason I say confidently is because I'm sure that maybe there's some stuff that I asked before that I'm not remembering, but the ones that I do remember, I remember when these questions happened. What inspired this topic was a video I was watching, and I dead ass don't even remember which video it was, but I just know that it lingered on this topic, and then I thought, this reminds me, I have a relationship with this subject. And I realized that as a kid, I asked more questions than I thought. I'm remembering it now. The video I was watching was talking about how you don't need to talk to kids like they're idiots. You can talk to them about things like passing on, death, disease, and that type of thing. And you don't have to doctor it up and baby it down. You don't have to lie about it or try to protect them about the topic. Kids are aware that when you pass on, you're not in an eternal sleep. Granddaddy is not just sleeping. You can tell them that this is it. He's done. He's not gonna wake up from this. But I really wish I remember how I stumbled on that video. It was a pretty informative video. So I decided to jot them down, and then I said, I'm gonna turn that into a video, and that'll be my brain exercise for the day. The questions I asked my mom about your personal expiry, since YouTube is sensitive about the words that I can use around here, I vividly remember talking to her very nonchalantly about this process when my great grandfather passed. I remember asking if when people pass on, they are born again. And I remember exactly where I was. I was taking a shower and I was like 7 years old, and I would leave the door open because that was the rule in the house. Unspoken rule. Mom always said to leave it at least unlocked or cracked open so that she could hear that I was doing okay, or if she heard something like, say, something falling or a slip or something, so she could get in and check on me. It was more of a safety feature type of thing. And I never forgot that. The whole reason she was able to be in the restroom in the first place was because I left the door unlocked just as she asked. And the kind of doorknob we had, it was the kind of doorknob that it was pretty hard to unlock if something happened. I remember her saying, no, that's it, that when you expire, that's it. You can believe other things about what happens after it's over. Maybe you get another shot at life, just we won't be your family. You may be born as someone else, as something else, somewhere else, but that in some instances, you may also choose to believe that this is the only opportunity you get and this is it. You don't come back. This is your only life, your only shot. And I remember that even as a kid, I said, well, that sucks, because what if I pass on when I'm a baby and I don't get to grow up? I don't get to be an adult. And then she was like, well, that's just life. And now as an adult, to this day, I still believe in reincarnation. And I guess that I believe in it in the form of me existing as I am right now was so improbable that the fact that I exist the way that I exist means that my energy has its special signature. So when I expire, sure, my body stops producing energy and whatnot. But because I believe in forces that go a little beyond what we can measure with our instruments, then I think that maybe you do get a shot in life and I may be reborn. I won't know that I'm me. Like, I won't in the future stumble upon a video from me and be like, this lady reminds me a lot of me. She's probably me. I look like her, I sound like her, I act like her, I believe the same stuff that she believes. I understand exactly what she's saying and I'm able to guess what she's getting ready to say, even though I don't know her. Sometimes I believe that I will be reborn exactly as I am with my same spirit, just not looking the same. Which is a shame because honestly, I wouldn't mind to be born the same continuously, like be born with my same face, be born with everything about me as I know it. I guess the only thing I would allow to impact me would be my education. Like, say, for instance, if I'm born somewhere out there in like Scandinavia, then of course I expect to know those languages, that culture, and be physically suited for those kinds of weather. Or if I'm born somewhere like in Egypt, then I hope that my skin is the proper type for that kind of weather and that I learn that language. I'm adapted to wherever I'm born at. And this definitely could be a topic for another day, but my worry about me existing as I am is the language that you speak may influence ultimately how you're able to think in some cases. And I feel like if I don't default back to my language as I know in my life, then I won't be able to manifest my spirit and thoughts and ideas in the same manner as I did in this life. Because, say, if I'm born to a language that's from like the Far East, their way of thinking within their own language is different. Like, most of them don't really have an alphabet that's phonetic. Their alphabet represents concepts, ideas. It's not words that have meaning defined for them. So I think that would influence my outcome. And I think that depending on where you're reborn, then it's unlikely that you may be able to preserve your spirit. But again, that is a topic for another day. So that was that. And another question I asked was, when we pass on, will we find him? Will we find each other? Say, when we pass on and we go to heaven, am I going to find you? Am I going to recognize you as my mom and stuff? And mom said that no, not necessarily, because where we go after this, there won't be a necessity for us to have the relationship that we have here as earthlings. It's another kind of system, another kind of rules, another way of living. Of course, that is a very simplified version. I don't remember her word for word what she said, but what I understood as a kid that she was saying, it was something about that. How we won't be family anymore because we don't have the need to be family. We are already family, something like that. Another question I had was that, will you still be my mom after we pass on? And when I asked her that, it was because at the end of the day, as a kid, I really admired my mom a lot. I appreciated her a lot. And even when stuff would become tough to where I actually feared her, I never hated her. And the only moment I can say that I struggled with her severely, it was during my high school years. You know, because I'm going through my adolescent stage. She was going through her menopause stage. And I guess those two characters were clashing, along with our relationship not being one that was founded on a lot of affection anyway. She repeated with me what her mom did to her, which was her mom was never loving or affectionate or didn't have any loving words to say. Well, my mom was the same. She was never really touchy. The only time I remember her being touchy was when she would hold me here and there. But after a certain age, that mess was over. And when it comes to like affectionate words, she never had like sweet nicknames for me. Nothing sweet, nothing affectionate, anything like that. It was just continuously by my name. And I guess that's why I never really use endearments toward anybody. I don't use the honey, sweetie, darling, words like that. I just don't. To me, they're kind of cringe. But I do come up with really good nicknames for people, though. I never really tell people those are their nicknames. But after I reveal it to them, they're like, damn, that's actually a pretty good nickname. She just said that we won't really find each other because we're beyond familial links. How do we find each other? Of course, that was the other question. And again, she pretty much responded with something like, there isn't a system like that to where kinship is important. Therefore, it's kind of pointless to obsess over that. Everybody is pretty much related, everybody's just family. Of course, I asked if the process of passing is painful, does it hurt? And she said that she believed that the process of expiry itself is not that painful thing. That lead up to the passing may be the painful part. And as an adult, of course, I agree, that makes sense. It's not like, oh my God, the extreme pain is what causes you passing. You can be in extreme pain and, of course, still be alive. But you can have very peaceful passings, like some people often pass on in their sleep. It doesn't necessarily have to be painful. And if you don't get ended by somebody, or if you don't drown, if you don't end in a wreck, or any of those things, like if injury does not take your life away, nor say some kind of severe disease doesn't claim your life beforehand, do you inherently die when you hit the age of 100? I remember this was another question I asked her while I was taking a shower one time. I want to say for this one, I was younger because I vividly remember her being with me as I was in the bathtub and she was helping me cleanse myself. My question was, if we don't pass on in the way that it's announced on the news, then does it mean that when you turn 100, that's it? And the reason I said 100 is because in school, I was beginning to learn about numbers, and it seemed that the number 100 was maxing out everything. 100%, 100 pieces, 100 parts, 4 quarters with a value of 25 make the value of 100, things like that. So I just figured that reaching 100%, like say 100% battery power, that's the limit to human existence as well. And then mom said, no, of course not. There's people who naturally can live past 100. And then years down the line, when I started reading stuff from the Bible and some stuff didn't make sense to me, I was like, Ma, the Bible is talking about this character as if he's 600 years old. How is that possible? And why is it that humans now don't live that long? Now, that I don't remember what she said, but I know that one time I heard somebody said, I can't remember who, that such an expression was supposed to be metaphorical, but I sincerely don't know what to tell you. So, yeah, you guys, that's the end of my list when it comes to the stuff that I vividly remember asking about the process of you exiting from life. And I'm sure I have asked more questions over the years about it, but none of them are coming to mind. But these are the ones that I can tell you almost exactly where I was at when I asked them. I don't remember where I was at when I asked if it hurt, but the others, I pretty much remember those were bathroom conversations. And I even remember what my bathroom looked like too as a kid. It's crazy. Well, there you guys have it. That's it for me. Thank you so much for tuning in. Let me know your thoughts and experiences with this one because I find that we all seem to have a similar connection with this. I guess this process affects us in the same way pretty much. And I have no doubt that some of you may have asked the same questions I have asked or even deeper ones. But as an adult, I have analyzed this topic from multiple angles and I found that leaving it at the basic level that I had as a kid, it's really all I needed. There's really no need to become much more complex with this topic if you don't need it to be. All right, that's it from me. Bye. I wonder if this sounds like bubbles are popping or like I'm passing gas, but obviously it isn't.